Meanwhile, our security agencies are charged with the awesome task of protecting our secrets, preserving the country's 320 million citizens from harm. But ever since the inauguration of the president, that responsibility has been mixed with a lot of leaking government secrets to the press. Ned Price worked for the CIA from 2006 until this past February, when he quit rather than serve under President Trump. He says it was not a political decision. He joins us tonight. Ned Price, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
First, let me say, good for you. If you don't think you can work for a president, you should leave. You are a Democrat. You work for Democratic campaigns given to Democratic candidates. Fine. I guess what I'm saying is yours is the model I wish others in the federal government would follow, since the CIA exists to inform the president, not to make its own policy. And yet what you're seeing is people who've stayed behind, who are trying to undermine the policies of the president. And that's unconstitutional.
Well, Tucker, look, I certainly appreciate the compliment, but let me just make the point that our intelligence community is not comprised of Republicans or Democrats. They're not comprised of progressives or conservatives. These are people who have signed up to protect the country they love, regardless of who is in the Oval Office. I worked proudly under President George W. Bush as a CIA analyst when I first started. I worked proudly under President Barack Obama, whom I later served in the White House. But this is not the intelligence community. It is not a shifting sand based on which political party is in power, nor should it be.
It shouldn't be.
Right,
Look,
exactly.
I've lived here a long time. It's an enormous federal government. Part of what you said is true. Part of it's not. There are partisans in the government, permanent government, and I know them. So that's untrue. But I think most of them.
Tucker, that's the nature of our government. That of course you can have personal political beliefs, as you do and as I do, but you can still fulfill the function that you are charged with as a public servant, whether it's a Republican or Democrat.
That's not actually the point that I'm making. My point is that people who serve in a bunch of different agencies, including CIA, throughout the intel community, have certain views of policy that they are wedded to. And that in this case, and there's been a lot of reporting on this, they believe Trump will undermine their goals, and so they are trying to undermine Trump. And what I'm saying, withholding information from him, for example, and what I'm saying is things fall apart.
I don't think there's any evidence of that, first of all.
Really?
The
New York Times reported it. I believe them.
I think it was the Wall Street Journal that reported that, but I don't think there was any evidence to actually back that up. I think that the CIA director and the director of national intelligence has actually come out and said that's not true.
Okay. But here's what we know. They didn't like Mike Flynn. Fine. But then they destroyed him by leaking, and committed a felony in so doing, a transcript of his conversation, which was surveilled with the Russian ambassador. They're not allowed to do that. They did it to affect a political end, and we should be worried about that.
Let me make the very important point that there is never any justification for the leaking of classified information. It is illegal, and it has the potential to put lives at risk. But there are other important points.
Not just put lives at risk, destroy a life for political reasons. That's what they did.
Yeah, exactly. In the case of intelligence work, it has the potential to put sources at risk, sources in the field, people who commit treason against their own country to help the United States. It has the potential to expose them and to leave them to the will of their government.
No, it's not just about agents in the field. It's about me and you and anybody else. But here's what bugs me. Look, I appreciate our federal employees, including in the intelligence community. But the idea that you can't criticize them when they've been repeatedly wrong about a lot of big things. I don't know, the fall of the Soviet Union after 50 years of watching, or 9/11, or the WMD in Iraq. The idea that I don't, as a citizen, have a right to criticize them, I'm unpatriotic if I do so. Where'd that come from?
No one has ever said that intelligence professionals are infallible. Intelligence is not a science, it is an art. It is about putting together a piece of the puzzle, an entire puzzle, wearing a blindfold, not knowing how many pieces exist.
But you said that.
It is an art.
No, but you said that. You said NPR. They said NPR, so why'd you leave? And you said Trump insulted the intel community. Fine.
Absolutely.
And he said, quote, he accused them of leaking, which they do, and doubted their work. What's wrong with that? Isn't that my right?
There is nothing wrong with doubt, with being skeptical. What the point I was making to NPR is that President Trump, who was then the GOP nominee at the time, in the third debate, just casually cast aside the high confidence assessment of all 17 intelligence community agencies that Russia had meddled in our election. He didn't have any proof otherwise. He didn't have any justification for it. He just said he didn't believe it.
Well, they didn't have any proof either. And by the way, all of our Stansfield Turner, who ran CIA, as you know, for an awfully long time, said when the Soviet Union fell, no one there knew this was going to happen.
Tucker, is someone
so that's not crazy. A consensus is not the truth.
As someone who spent years working on analysis within the CIA,
yeah.
I know that a high confidence assessment, there is something to that, and a high confidence assessment that is signed onto by 17 intelligence communities agencies, all 17 agencies.
Are there really 17? What are the 17 intelligence agencies? People throw that around. I don't know what they are. What are they?
There's a CIA, there's a DNI, there's a DIA, there's the FBI, there's the NSA. You can go on and on and on.
No, that's 5. I mean, I don't know that there are 17 intelligence agencies. Why does everyone say that? I mean, I'm just sincerely.
Okay.
I wish someone would. Will you email me and tell me what they are?
I can get you a full.
Because every night the guest is like, all 17. Really, what are they?
If you want to know all 17 of them, I'm sure we can provide that to you.
I hope you will.
But that's beside the point. The point
no,
is
it's the point. It's that the point is, look, you're claiming knowledge of something that you haven't produced. If you're going to affect the political process with a claim, I, as a citizen, have a right to know what the heck you're talking about.
Tucker, they produced their report.
I read it.
No, you didn't, because it's classified.
No, I read the public.
Exactly.
Summary of it.
Yes.
And it didn't tell me anything.
Well, I'm sorry that's how you feel, but both in that January report and then in the October attribution statement on October 7th, all 17 intelligence community agencies signed on to this statement with high confidence that Russia was behind this. Subsequent to that, in January, they produced a classified assessment and an unclassified assessment that laid out their case in great detail. You certainly read the unclassified version, but there is a classified version that has data points.
We got to go. We're out of time. Ned, it's great to see you. Come back. We'll be right back.